Developmental characteristics of clover buds is why we have clover buds separate than our traditional 4-H members. During the ages of 5 and 8, children are maturing in many ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. To be successful, children must acquire new skills, knowledge, and abilities. Children are starting to make friends and enjoy being with other children in social settings. Children during any stage develop at their own rates. No two children develop in the same way and at the same time. However, most children progress through developmental stages in the same order. The following are going to be some developmental informations about children between the ages of 5 and 6 and the age groups of children between the ages of 7 and 8. The hope is that by learning their different developmental capacity, you will be able to select or adapt activities to meet the needs of the children in your group. So let's start off with the ages and stages of the youth who are 5 and 6-year-olds. Because 5 and 6-year-olds physically have muscular coordination and control that is incomplete, they are just starting to develop their small motor skills, and they do have better use of tools such as scissors, pencils, and markers than they did in preschool. As a leader, you should do these types of activities. Choose activities that use large motor skills. Plan a lot of physical activities. And your project should not require fine motor skills or perfection. It's all right to introduce some fine motor skills, but don't focus on them yet, because you want your kids not to get frustrated, but you want them to feel successful. Because 5 and 6-year-olds mentally think concretely. They only work well on one task at a time. They define things by their use. They have very short attention spans. And they're more interested in the process, not the end result. Because kids think at that age concretely, you want to make sure you allow them to explore and ask questions, because that's how they learn. Don't give them any abstract thinking projects, or if they don't get some of your humor, it's because they have that concrete mentality. Make sure you plan short activities. They will get restless and bored if you try to spread them out too long. Provide a variety of materials and mediums for learning. Different choices that they can have will help them feel like they have more of control and they will feel more successful. And give verbal instructions, because remember, at this age, they may know their letters and they may know some words, but they're not going to be fluent with reading. Emotionally, 5 and 6-year-olds are very sensitive to criticism. They're all right criticizing other people, but they don't have that intrinsic feeling of knowing how others feel. They do not accept failure well, but they love to be cooperative and helpful, and they really like a routine. Because children are like that emotionally, give encouraging words for effort, not the finished product. Let the kids help. Give them activities at the beginning of the meeting. Let them do some things. Set up, tear down, hand out papers, whatever it is you would like help with. Give clear descriptions of the activities that you're going to do, and stick to a schedule if at all possible, because they do like routine. Socially, 5 and 6-year-olds are just now learning how to cooperate and play in small groups. They have many best friends. They may have more than one best friend in a given day, because they can change often. They get mad easily, but they get over it very quickly. They can be unkind to others, but they're very sensitive themselves, and they have that desire to be first and to be the winner, which can lead them to be a little bit bossy. Because they are like this emotionally, it works best if you can plan projects and activities for small groups. If you have a large group, maybe dividing them into smaller groups and have another leader oversee the different small groups. Help them develop friendships by learning to share and take turns and follow the rules, and you can encourage not to tattle. Avoid competitive activities with a winner. Try to choose activities where things are just getting done, or if you have something that somebody always wins at, shake it up and don't do the same thing every time. Try to maintain a high adult to child ratio. 1 to 6 is what we suggest. Some higher needs kids, you may need more adults per child, or if you have a group that's a little bit on the older and more side that you've had them for a while, you may be able to get by with a little bit of a higher ratio. 7 and 8-year-olds will differ quite a bit from 5 and 6-year-olds, and you may notice that if you have experience with those age groups. 5 and 6-year-olds are just starting to learn things. 7 and 8-year-olds are starting to put things together. Physically, they learn best when active. Their small muscle control is still developing, but it is getting much better than it was when they were 5 or 6. Their large muscle skills have improved. They're more likely to be more accurate in kicking and throwing. And mastering a technique may require doing it over and over again, so repetition is something that can help them improve. So as a leader, what you can do is to avoid spending too much time sitting or listening. You could actually march around the room while you're talking, or try to incorporate learning activities that require motion. Allow time for active activity. That doesn't just mean letting them run around or do races, but plan something that is active. Again, use their large muscles to get that activity going, and maybe work on some of their smaller muscle controls, and give them opportunities to practice skills so they can learn that mastery and feel successful. Mentally, 7 and 8-year-olds are starting to read and can comprehend what they're reading. They're starting to see things from others' perspective. They are very curious and they like to discover. They can collect, sort, organize, and classify. They are starting to develop some abstract thinking skills, and their sense of humor is developing, which means you may be hearing a lot of knock-knock jokes. As a leader, you can help by incorporating some reading and writing, but still give verbal and visual instructions. Encourage collections or other activities that require sorting, organizing, and classifying. I think maybe we have all gathered rocks and had a rock collection when we were younger. You can encourage any type of collecting to get their thinking going. Have them reflect on their hands-on learning. That's part of the abstract thinking. That is something we'll also talk about when we talk about our experiential learning model, the do, reflect, apply model. Emotionally, 7 and 8-year-olds are starting to become more aware of themselves. They are more sensitive to others. They like to be part of a family and group. They worry about failing or being criticized. And because of that fear of failure, sometimes some of your members may say, "This is too hard," then admit that they're afraid to fail. So as a leader, some things you can do are to have them do things for others. Incorporate that into your club activity or your community service projects. Provide lots of encouragement and praise. Be sensitive when introducing new skills or concept. Remember, we're old hats at them, but this may be something they're trying for the very first time in their lives. And encourage them to keep trying. And if they keep saying, "I don't want to, it's really too hard," just be as encouraging as you possibly can. And have them make things for family members. That being part of a family is important for them. So if you're going to have activities where you're creating something, maybe they can create something for a family member. Socially, they value adult interaction, but they also have high expectations of adults. They're starting to become more curious and talkative. They can be moody, but they are less likely to be critical of others. They're starting to have friendships that involve sharing, and they usually like to work with the same-sex group. As leaders, we can start introducing social skills, the please, the thank yous, how you behave in certain settings. We can choose some activities that involve conversation. They can talk to the person next to them maybe about whatever they're working on. If you're having them do a collection, they can share it with somebody and start to talk about that. You may have to keep them on task. Choose learning activities that use curiosity and creativity. That's experiential learning, the hands-on of 4-H. Use activities that emphasize diversity of families and lifestyles. Maybe you want to learn about people from different parts of the world, what they wear, what kind of foods. You can incorporate all kinds of things into your club meetings. This is a brief overview of the developmental ages and stages of the youth between the ages of 5 and 8. The references can be found at the end of this module. There'll be some printed material for you if you like to learn that way. Or here are some other references that some of this information came from that if you want, you can look up on your own.